Hello and welcome to this short video on RemNote. Using food examples, I'm going to cover some of the basic features of RemNote. And to keep this video short, I won't be covering the logistics of how to use RemNote, but there will be additional resources made available to cover this, including worksheets and tasks that I'm going to set that are going to make it really accessible. Okay, so we're currently looking at my RemNote and I'm in the food folder. And I'm going to go into my sponge cake document, and I can tell it's a document from this little symbol here. So if I go into here, first thing I want to point out is that this is just a general recipe for a sponge cake that I found online, and I've got the link here. And first thing you might notice is that the method and ingredients are in bold, and that's because I've made these into flashcards, which is one of the great features of RemNotes, that while you're typing and making a note, you can just make flashcards as you go. And so if I go up here, I can practice my flashcards. So here as well, it shows the hierarchy of where the flashcards come from. Instead of just saying method, which could be a method for any recipe I have saved on here, it shows me that it's from the sponge cake document, which is in my food folder. So method, think of the answer, show answer, and then these little buttons here are here because RemNote has a built-in spaced repetition algorithm, which basically helps students test themselves only when they need to. So depending on how quickly they recall the answer will depend on how often they need to practice this. So immediately, and as we can see, it's just going to take me through all of the cards here. So the next feature I want to talk about is these tags up here. And so tags are a great way of organizing documents that may fall into more than one folder. So yes, I have this general category here of food, but here sponge cake, this falls into desserts. I've got it in easy recipes and sweet treats. And this just means instead of having to copy and paste this recipe into a folder for desserts and then a folder for recipes and a folder for sweet treats, I just have this one recipe that always stays the same, that can then be categorized by these tags. So I'm going to go into desserts here, and I'm going to go into lemon cake. Now, I've been writing my recipe for the lemon cake, and I've thought, well, I've already got a recipe for sponge cake, and so the ingredients and the method for making the cake are going to be somewhat similar. So I've utilised a feature in RemNote, which is called a portal. If I click here, you can see the portal more clearly. So a portal is basically just a window into another document. So this has just opened up a window into my sponge cake document, which we can see here. And this means that instead of typing out the ingredients twice, I've just opened up my window and I can see straight into the document for the sponge cake. Now, another great feature of this means that I'm making a lemon cake and I've decided, oh, when I make my basic cake, actually I've decided that caster sugar works better. And so because I've changed it, I've used a portal here. If I go back into my sponge cake recipe, you can see it's changed already, so I haven't had to go back and change it. So let me just take you back to the lemon cake and show you that, as we can see here. And as you can see, this has also copied the flashcard over into this document as well. And as we go down here, you can see from this little blue line here that this is again another portal from the sponge cake recipe because it's the same to cook the cake. So now I'm going to go into my other tag, which is easy recipes. And I'm going to go to fajitas. As you can see, this also has a number of tags. It's got easy recipes as well as Mexican. And something you may notice about this page, which is different to the rest, is that I have this little blue guacamole here. So I've been writing my fajita recipe and I've thought, oh, this recipe calls for guacamole. I already have a recipe for guacamole. So RemNote allows you to add, the best way to describe it is also like a wiki link. So if I click this, this will take me straight to my recipe that I have for guacamole. So I can go back to Mexican, back to fajitas, and I can also I can go through here and I can open the guacamole in another one here. So I can have the two recipes side by side. So that is some of the basic features of RemNote. There's a lot more you can do with this software. You can make varying different types of flashcards. The way you organize it is all very editable, and there's no right or wrong way to organize your work. This is just the way I've chosen to do this.